Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Private KJ back here with another video. Today we're going to be discussing Blake Griffin and how he just went to the Nets. The Nets are currently, as of right now, acquiring Blake Griffin through free agency. If you're not aware, he did buy out with the Detroit Pistons. Like 2 days ago, I dropped a video on who I think three teams would be really good fits with Blake Griffin. And sure enough, one of the teams I put down are the Nets, and he's going to the Nets. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of talk about his impact on what he could bring to the table for this Brooklyn Nets team. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a beat. Okay, live stream is tomorrow, not today. I'm sorry about that. But it is what it is. I was not able to stream today. I was busy all day. Just doing a bunch of stuff for military work. So yes, live stream is tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. With that said, though, let's just discuss Blake Griffin and the Brooklyn Nets. So right now, as we head into the All-Star break, because I'm actually missing some of the All-Star games right now to record this video. No, I think the three-point contest is on right now, or skills challenge. I don't remember, but I'm missing part of the All-Star break for this video. But it is what it is. This Nets team, now it is the All-Star break, is currently like a top 3 seed in the East. I think everyone understands that regardless if they get Blake Griffin or not, they're still probably the favorites. Now, when I say favorites, I am currently looking at the Lakers without Anthony Davis. When AD comes back and proves that he's fully healthy, then we'll talk differently. But for right now, the Nets are the prohibited favorites, and that's just my personal opinion. Now, what to expect from Blake Griffin? Now, I truly don't believe that he is washed just yet, but I do think he is a step slower than what he used to be, okay? He's not really a good defender whatsoever. He's not laterally quick. He's undersized, so you can't really play him at the 5. On his offensive game, though, he's kind of an inconsistent shooter. Like, some days he'll be off, some days he'll be off. More times he is off from the three-point line. So I don't think you can really rely on him to be a consistent three-point shooter. But he attacks the rim. His playmaking ability is pretty solid. He's just kind of a well-rounded player at this point in his career. But I'm not sure how much. How do I explain this? How much winning he brings to a team, because it just seems like at this point in his career, he kind of doesn't bring winning aspects to a team. Now, he's also not going to be the number 1, 2, or even 3 option on this team. So maybe things will change. And I think a smaller role for Blake Griffin at this stage in his career is actually more beneficial. So, yes. So I'm going to kind of talk about what I believe would be a good fit with Blake Griffin. And this is going to include playoffs, because I think in the playoffs is where he will really kind of flourish, depending on how he is used, okay? So, right now, the starting 5 is with a fully healthy team: Kyrie, Harden, KD, let's say Joe Harris, and DeAndre Jordan, okay? Jeff Green for small ball 5 in certain matchups, and I think in the playoffs he will probably get more starts. But for right now, I'm going to slap DJ in the starting 5. Off the bench, they have TSW, they have Brown, they have, who else am I missing? They have Shamet. They have a bunch of shooters off the bench with Jeff Green to go along with that. You slide Blake Griffin into that equation, and I think it actually brings a whole new dynamic to that front court. And let me explain why. I actually think there will be a good chance during the playoffs especially that we can see Blake Griffin get a lot of minutes at the 5 position. Now, we already understand that the Nets lack defense. Putting Blake Griffin at your 5, KD at the 4, probably slide Joe Harris at the 3, that's really not a great recipe for a good defense. But with that said, we already understand that the Nets offense is probably the greatest, if not one of the greatest of all time. Like, statistically, if you look at the deep statistics into the Nets offense, it is legitimately the best or one of the best offenses of all time. Okay? Excuse me. You slide Blake Griffin into that equation, what do you get? You're getting 4, let me just kind of dumb this down. You get 4 shooters around Blake Griffin, okay? You have a guy who can attack the basket, albeit he's not as athletic as he used to be, but he can still attack the basket. You got a guy who can knock down threes every once in a while at I'd say a below average rate, but still can hit the 3-point shot. You got a guy which I think his skills are going to be very well utilized, especially off the bench, and his playmaking ability, okay? What Blake Griffin is actually a very underrated passer at this stage in his career, and I think that's something that will keep him in the league for years and years because of that ability. Now, you have Jeff Green and you have DeAndre Jordan. I fully expect Jeff Green to kind of get those crunch time minutes because at the end of the day, Jeff Green is a better defender than Blake Griffin. But Blake Griffin brings a whole new aspect to that team that DJ and Jeff Green do not bring, which is, like I said, that playmaking ability. Now, I understand, once again, that the defense is going to be an issue. But at the end of the day, who is stopping this Nets team? Like, no matter how bad they are on defense, who is stopping this Nets team on offense? No one, exactly. So, I think he would really force it to 5. I do expect some Blake Griffin DJ minutes and Blake Griffin Jeff Green minutes, just because at the end of the day, his natural position is power forward. So I'm not really expecting a whole lot, but I'm talking specifically when it comes to the playoffs. Can we expect Blake Griffin to run the 5? I think so. I really do think we can expect that. So that's kind of my personal thing on Blake Griffin. I'm curious to see on how Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni are going to use him in the offensive system because I don't believe that you can kind of get away with using him the same way you use DeAndre Jordan. I think Blake Griffin, although you don't want the ball out of your 3 superstar hands, I think Blake Griffin needs some touches here and there to kind of get himself going. And I get that's kind of an unfortunate situation at this point, but I think we kind of need to recognize he's too good and too talented of a player to at least not give him that second chance to kind of be like, okay, let me give you the ball here and there, go to work, do your thing. And I'm not saying ISO or anything, but I'm saying have him kind of be a facilitator, have him be a secondary playmaker in the offense at times. And I think when the bench unit comes in, that's when it'll be really key, okay? I think having Shamet, TSW, Joe Harris when he goes over the second unit, Bruce Brown, and then Jeff Green, I think that kind of 5, I think that 5 you could really work in like a 4 kind of minute stretch period where you can use Blake Griffin as a primary playmaker. And I think that especially is where he can flourish. Now, with that said, I understand that Blake Griffin has kind of proven this season that he's a little washed. I understand that. This is kind of me basing the assumption off of, 1, he's joining a super team. Let's keep it a buck. He's joining 3 superstars. He will not have the same role of having to kind of carry that load and like he did in Detroit. 2, let's just keep it a buck. There is a huge difference between playing for a contender in a big market versus playing in a small market on a bad team. Okay? Playing on the Brooklyn Nets, I feel like will have a bigger impact than him playing on the Detroit Pistons. Because let's be honest, us as fans are not stupid. We can kind of understand that some days NBA players are not at their 100% hardest, going their hardest and stuff like that. And I understand it's a 72 to 82 game season. It'll happen. But I think kind of having that expectation set for him that we are championship contending will kind of help Blake Griffin again at this point in time. So I'm kind of curious to see how that will go down. Next up, though, I kind of want to talk about KD and his injury just a little bit. So he will be back after the All-Star break. I'm not sure when, but the fact that Harden and Kyrie have been able to kind of keep this team as good as they are without Kevin Durant just shows you how deadly they're going to be, okay? And that's the scariest part. This team is ridiculous on offense. It's crazy. I think at the end of the day, Blake Griffin's deficiencies will kind of hinder him, and I think he should average about 20 to 25 minutes. I think that's reasonable. I don't see a reason why he can't do that. But if you were to ask me what's the biggest lineup I were to trust at this very moment, I would honestly have to go with Jeff Green at the 5 as a closing lineup. Now, I think Nash is smart enough to recognize if Blake Griffin's balling, you keep him out on the floor. Like, just that simple. And he's talented enough that you keep him out on the floor. But at the end of the day, I do think Jeff Green's defensive versatility is definitely more valuable than Blake Griffin's kind of playmaking ability, considering the fact that they already kind of have Harden on that floor. This is just for closing lineups. Now, like I said, when the bench unit comes in, that's all Blake Griffin, okay? There's 5 to 4 minute spurts at the end of the quarter. You can get through the regular season. You can rely on Blake Griffin to kind of kind of hold the fort down against other bench units. Okay, so yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see how much Harden playmaking ability is going to affect Blake Griffin. That's my next and last thing I want to talk about, because Harden is so good on the offense side of the ball. He demands so much attention. Kevin Durant demands so much attention. Kyrie Irving demands so much attention. I feel like Blake Griffin honestly has the potential to have a resurgence under the Nets team, just because of how well put together they are, having the three superstars and just straight shooters all around. Everywhere you look, just a shooter. Everyone shooting at least 38 to 40% from three. Like, I feel like it's ridiculous, and I feel like that floor spacing is really gonna help Blake Griffin. And like I said, though, I do expect some sort of lineups to have him with Jeff Green, and even though Jeff Green's shooting 40% from three, and with DJ, I think that's just at the end of the day, you should expect that, just because of how Blake Griffin is kind of built. I mean, at the end of the day, you would rather have him at power forward, but there's just so many things he lacks that you would want him at center, but then he's so undersized, not a great defender. It's like, well, what do you do with him? I think the Nets will kind of figure that out, and I think at this point they're just like, I think this vibe is just like, forget the defense. We're just going to be the greatest of all time on offense, and that's kind of what I see. But that'll conclude today's video. Wow, this Blake Griffin, this is kind of crazy. The Nets are going to be so good, and I'm not saying Blake Griffin's like back what he used to be, but I think Blake Griffin is just going to be another great addition to this team. With that said, though, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a beat. Like I said, Private KJ out.